Hello, you guys. I am back. I did take a little bit of a YouTube break for the holidays, and I'm back and I'm ready to hit the ground running with you. And something that has really been on my mind a lot lately is finding the balance between being online and being offline, especially when it comes to creative work. And I feel like it can be really tricky. And I do want to disclaim that I know that being a content creator is not a hard job in the grand scheme of things. So I just want to throw that out there. I'm not trying to be like Michaela.
Try being an influencer for a day.
So I just hope this doesn't come across as super out of touch, but I do feel like it is really important to find a balance when it comes to being online and being offline. So let's jump in. And I have not introduced myself yet, but my name is Hannah and I am a full-time wedding and elopement photographer. I'm based in Utah and I am just really interested in doing more long-form content, and that's why I'm posting here on YouTube. So if you're new here, thanks for being here. I love you, and let's jump in. So I was told that in order to be a successful creative, you have to be online 24/7, that you need to be posting 3 to 5 times a week, you need to be readily accessible, and you have to keep up with the trends. And it can just become so exhausting over time, and it's genuinely not a sustainable way to live or to run a business. And that led me to obviously having creative burnout, which we all know about. And I was just feeling so tired, but it was in like a deep soul crushing exhaustion sort of way. And it honestly led me to begin questioning why I had even started creating in the first place, because I felt like I wasn't creating to create, I was creating to get results, which isn't always a bad thing, but it's not always a good thing either. So this is the story of how I found a better, healthier way to sustain my work ethics. So let's chat about section number 1 that I like to call the lies we are all sold. It starts really subtly when you're wanting to pursue social media. You have a little voice echoing in your head, and it's telling you, hey, you need to post 3 times a day. Specifically, if like we're talking about TikTok, you have to post 3 times a day. You need to engage with every comment. The brand is you and you are the brand. So you better be promoting at all times. The algorithm never sleeps, so why should you? And I dove into that mindset head first. I was having my morning coffee and looking at analytics, and I would get so sucked into the results of what I was posting that my food would literally get cold, and it just started to consume every second of my life. And it would lead me to have thoughts of, am I growing fast enough? Why did that post underperform? Why did I get likes on that video but no comments, or vice versa? Or why are people viewing my stories but not engaging with them? It's an exhausting way to live. What am I missing? And I realized in that moment that I wasn't creating art anymore. I was creating content, and there is a huge difference. So let's talk about it. And it turns out I wasn't alone in feeling this way. This is an industry-wide crisis. And I think there's some statistic that I read that there's like 40 or 50% of creatives have all reported feeling burnout. And it's funny when you realize that your life is starting to feel a little bit performative, and it's a little humbling at the same time, because then it becomes a question of, okay, well, how badly do I actually want this? And guess what? It's okay if you don't want it that badly, but when you're going on trips and your first thought is, oh my gosh, this is going to be great content, you might want to take a step back and reevaluate, what are your priorities? What are your goals? And honestly, this is a random tangent, but I recently got sent a brick, which is a physical device that literally locks you out of getting into your social media apps. And it has helped me tremendously with finding the balance between being online and offline, because guess what? If you're offline for a couple days, the world's going to keep spinning. Okay, people are going to live. It's going to be okay. It's not that big of a deal. And if you're interested in getting a brick, if that's one of your New Year's resolutions is to spend less time doom scrolling and just get back to living intentionally, I do have a code with them. I will link it in the description below. And I have loved it so much. Like, if I promote one thing for the rest of my life, it would genuinely be a brick. Anyways, let's get into section 2, which is called the downward spiral. And I feel like the downward spiral, I think of it as the little spark that I had when I created just slowly dwindled away. It was very subtle, and I just started to feel this dread of, oh, I need to post, or I haven't posted in a long time, or I need to go do a shoe and I need to create content. And it doesn't become fun anymore, and it just gave me a wave of anxiety. Is this good enough for the algorithm? Are people going to respond well to this? Caring what the result was going to be more than caring more about what I was creating. And soon, the spookiest part of this all is that the ideas just stopped. My body was always in a state of anxiety that I couldn't ignore. I started having problems that I didn't normally have. And the endless doom scrolling had just numbed my mind, the creative part of my mind. And it just became a blank canvas of nothing. And that led me to my breaking point. So let's talk about that. And the breaking point was when I realized that I cared more about the performance of my content rather than the content itself. The numbers, the likes, the shares, the comments. Again, it is so mentally fatiguing when all you are focusing on is the results. And the results have become the goal, not the expression, not the joy, not the craft, which is why I had started in the first place. And also, do you guys realize that the algorithm is meant to keep us scrolling? That's one of the reasons that I switched over to long form content with YouTube, because I was sick of Instagram and TikTok where I'm just scrolling every 30 seconds. I feel like my attention span, like I just felt dumb and stupid, and I need to switch it up. And so YouTube has really become such a fun outlet for me because I feel like I can retain things and I can stay around longer. Like I locked myself out of Instagram and TikTok for the last 25 hours, and guess what? It was incredible. And honestly, through this entire process, I have learned, okay, what if there's another way to do this? And what if success isn't about being online 24/7? Because like we talked about in the beginning, that is just not sustainable. What if real creativity requires us to all disappear for days at a time? And that question can be kind of spooky when that essentially goes against everything that we've ever known or we've been taught online. But I really do think 2026 is going to be the year of people going offline more. Like, I've already seen people making videos of, oh, it's a cool girl move to be offline. And I know a lot of people's New Year's resolutions are to be on their phone less, which, yeah, we all should be, absolutely. And so recovering from burnout is not a quick fix. Like when you have to rebuild from the ground up, you kind of have to decide what boundaries you want to have with technology and social media. And again, it just forces you to reprioritize. So I thought it'd be fun if we could talk about the 3 biggest changes that I decided to make. And the first is, yes, having very strict boundaries with social media. This was the hardest part because my phone is essentially a permanent part of my hand. And I started having office hours for social media, but the opposite. I'm not checking social media from 9 to 5. I let myself scroll before bed, and then I'm not checking social media again until 9 a.m. because that is where I really struggle, is with doom scrolling in the morning. And that is when my brain can't keep up with my dopamine receptors. And then I feel like I'm tired by 10 a.m. and it's just not sustainable for me personally. And second, I had to reclaim my offline creativity, and I made a new rule. So for every hour that I'm editing or doing something creative for someone else, I have to spend an hour creating something just for me that I like to fill my cup. And also that can even be like if I'm working or creating for an hour, then I go on an outdoor walk and I unplug for an hour, like just something to kind of balance out the act of being online and then, like I said, being offline, which is the entire point of this video. And then lastly, I had to reprioritize and figure out what success actually meant to me, because it can't just be about follower counts or engagement anymore. Like, yes, those can be important when you're running a business, but at the end of the day, how important is it actually? And I also had to learn how to say no, because I feel like in 2025, I was actively saying yes to a lot of things. That was one of my resolutions. And boy, did I stick to it, but boy, did it come at a cost, because I feel like I was constantly creating videos for brands that I didn't really care about. And I feel like I am lucky enough to be in a place where I can be a little bit more selective and say no to things. And that way I can fill my cup with things and products and businesses that align with me and my values and my business as well. And I know I'm not the only one that feels this way. Like, I'm sure, oh gosh. And my life looks really different now, but in a healthy way because I have healthy boundaries and I'm not glued to my phone 24/7, which is something we should all strive to do. And guess what? If you're offline, the world's not going to end. The algorithm's going to keep going. Is the algorithm going to like that we're not online? No, but it doesn't matter what the algorithm wants because if our mental sanity depends on us being offline, we all better get our butts off of our phone and take a break. And I've rediscovered the joy of having a private creative life as well. And I feel like I'm able to draw inspiration from the things around me and not just the people that I scroll past on social media. And I feel like true creativity at the end of the day comes from a place of well-being and not from a place of exhaustion. And I feel like the biggest lie that we've been told as creatives is that our success is going to come from our visibility. But I believe, and it might be the hard truth, is that true success comes from when we're not totally dependent on being online. And building a creative, sustainable career is an art, not a science. And it's about finding your own unique balance that's gonna work for you because what works for me might not work for everybody else. And guess what? That's totally fine. So I wanna give you permission that nobody gave me. And that permission is to get offline. Permission to be unavailable and to protect your energy and your creative art. Because you are not a content machine. And I want to tell you right now, if you're a content creator, that you are not lazy for wanting to take a day off. Take a couple days off, take a week off. Because like I said at the beginning of this video, I know being a content creator or an influencer is not the hardest job in the world. Like, I think we're all aware of that, but I do think it is worth mentioning the mental fatigue that can come when our jobs are totally reliant on us being online 24/7 and constantly chasing trends and things like that. It can be mentally exhausting and can lead to burnout. But I think that's going to do it for me, guys. Thanks so much for being here. Like I said, if you're new here, I appreciate you. And I will leave my social links below if you want to connect on other platforms. And I'll see you next year because guess what? Next week, it's 2026, which is crazy. But I'll see you guys soon. Bye.